question, why should the circumstances surrounding someone's conception?
Well, the circumstances should matter, because if a 13-year-old is molested or raped, do you want to traumatize that child by forcing them to have that baby? That's what those holy people want to do. Yeah, like, your Glenn Becks and this Allie Beth Stuckey. It's amazing. They have millions of followers, right? It's almost like big tech makes sure to send the herd that way, because then you'll know how to be a right Christian. I guess I'm just not a good Christian, because I care enough to consider the fact I'm not for late-term abortion, but they're ripping because Donald Trump said he doesn't support a state ban on abortion, or they're having a vote come up, and he thinks there should be more, not just 6 weeks, more weeks should be. He's not for midterm or late-term abortion, but what he's saying is the same thing Reagan said. This is a delicate area. So I'm not as holy as the Glenn Becks and Allie Beth Stuckey. I'm just not as, illuminated as them, I guess, because I care enough to consider that if a 13-year-old or 14-year-old or 10-year-old is raped and gets pregnant, and say that the doctor says it's not in their best interest to have this, maybe because of their pelvic growth and all of that. Those people are so holy, they would say, no, never abortion, they have to have it. So I'm just wondering, so like when the Glenn Becks and Allie Beth Stuckey and myself, like when, let's just envision this just for a moment, bear with me. God comes down and judgment's being handed out. And so, the automatic assumption by the far right is I'm going to be damned. So let's just play it out. So God give an account for why you made certain decisions, okay? Or said certain things. So the Glenn Becks and Allie Beth Stuckey, Michael, all that, the holy people that know God so well, would say, I stood by your word. Always protect life, which God was really not about the flesh, if you remember. I'm just saying, it didn't, he said not to murder, but that whole issue, at 6 weeks it sells, okay? At 8 weeks it sells. But okay, so they would say, I stood by your word, never, never murder. Okay, so then God looks at me and says, what do you have to say about the words that you said? Well, I cared enough to consider that. Would it be any good if the 12-year-old isn't in a good place, or mentally or physically, to have the baby? I thought it would be better to err on the side of caution instead of losing two lives, the baby and the 12-year-old, that we maybe consider that. I don't know. I could be wrong. They're more holy than me. So, maybe you should, but just remember that's the side that doesn't use any empathy or care when it comes to this, which is why it's always been a difficult issue. I love how they try to make it like it's very simple. She says in this clip, somebody challenged me online, and that's why I changed my opinion, because I did have exceptions. Oh, so they challenged you and you just became an uncaring person. So God says he judges by the heart. God will judge by the heart. So what do you think that means? It means God's gonna judge by, did you care? Did you care? So if what your answer to God is going to be that I stood by your word so much that I didn't care or consider that a mother's life could be in danger, or that this is a child, and maybe medical professionals say that this is not in the best interest. I didn't even consider that if they're raped or they're molested and it's incest. Because of course it hasn't happened to Allie Beth Stuckey, right? It hasn't happened to any Glenn Beck's kids. I'm sure it would be a different story then, though. When their child, their 12-year-old, is saying, I don't want to have a baby. Don't make me have a baby. Oh, you mean to tell me they would be that cold-hearted? Maybe they would, because they're so holy. I can't say I'm that holy. I can't. I'm not that holy. I'm a sinner. And I just think that we're supposed to have empathy. We're supposed to care. And that's the point to the word exceptions. Donald Trump does not support late-term abortion or any of all of that stuff. but he is considering children, especially when these holy people like your Michael Knowles, Glenn Beck, Allie Beth Stuckey, none of them want to call out the rampant child sexual abuse in the Catholic Church, right? They never want to talk about that. That's how holy they are. Yeah, so holy. They never want to bring up that. But then they want to push people that, no, you have to be against all abortion. Yeah, do that. I mean, I've seen what their followers are like, and their followers get in my comment section, that far right, I mean, and they turn around and call me a baby killer and a baby mutilator and a liberal. I've never voted for a Democrat in my life. I'm just coming from a place of caring, and since God judges by the heart, and there are those delicate things to weigh and consider, I don't want to be so mindless. I don't want to be that holy where I totally disregard a child that's raped. Most especially when you have such a rampant child abuse problem in the Catholic Church that none of those far right holy people even want to mention.